It's great to be given this opportunity to speak my opinion about communication devices. My name is Charlie Wren, and I was diagnosed with ALS 7 years ago. I was a heavy-duty mechanic, which allowed me to work closely with technologies and computers. My progression started in my hands and arms, so it wasn't long before I couldn't use a computer, and went about a year without using one. This presentation is my attempt to tell you what I know about communication devices, and what software I use to communicate, little tricks and hints about these devices. It's just a raw view on the good, the bad, and the ugly on communication devices. Like most people with ALS, I stopped using social media, using email and texting, because it just became too difficult. Once my voice was gone, I borrowed a Tobii communication device, and that's where my communication device adventures began. I'm currently paralyzed, with a feeding tube, and trached, so having a communication device and knowing how to use it is so detrimental. Now, let the communication device adventures begin. Communication devices are nothing special, they're just a regular out-of-date computer that just happens to have eye gaze. A new device uses older generation components to keep costs down to meet the bare minimum requirements for insurance companies to purchase. They have the computing power equivalent to a cheap, 8-year-old laptop from Walmart. A new communication device has more in common with a touch-screen cash register at McDonald's than a new laptop or tablet. It's disappointing the lack of computing power a communication device has, when their cost is so high. At first, I'm going to refer to the Windows-based communication devices, and will eventually speak about the new Tobii TD Pilot Eye Gaze communication device, which is an Apple iPad, running the iOS operating system. Devices that currently run Windows 10, will be supported by Microsoft until 2025, which means, if you get a new device right now, in 2 years it won't be supported by Microsoft. So, it won't be long until communication device manufacturers will be forced to upgrade their internal hardware, so they can run the current version of Windows. Something to be aware of: the more programs you have on your device, and the older your device is, the more glitchy your device becomes. They freeze up, leaving you without communication until your caregiver notices. The screen goes black for a few seconds, and can take up to 10 seconds to recover, and sometimes the eye gaze program just turns off. If you're an eye gaze jet setter, here are a few hints to extending your device's battery power when you're out and about. First, turn the brightness of your screen down as low as you can, while still being able to use it. Next, put your device to sleep or shut it down while not using it. Keep your charger handy, so if you see an electrical outlet, you can plug it in. Just charging your device for 10 minutes can make all the difference in the world. If you use a handicapped van, you can also install a power inverter. An inverter converts your vehicle's electrical power to a regular power outlet, so you can charge all your electrical devices. Some handicapped vehicles already have this feature from the factory. Finally, Permobil and Quantum Power chairs make an adapter to charge your communication device and smartphone, so check with your power chair manufacturer. I hope this advice helps. Now, it's time to talk about the new Tobii Dynavox TD Pilot eye gaze communication device. It's the first eye gaze communication device that runs on Apple's iOS operating system. What's my opinion on the TD Pilot? Well, I'm not a TD Pilot user, and answering this question can be controversial. I'm an iSeries guy, which means I use a Windows device. Now, the good. Apple makes high-quality products that are simple and easy to use. The new TD Pilot is no exception. The bad. Currently, the Ability Drive isn't available for the TD Pilot. Ability Drive is a program that gives you the ability to drive your power chair, using your eye gaze communication device. It gives you more independence when your hands and arms no longer work. Due to the cult-like following of Apple users, I'll probably find my head on the end of a pike, in front of Tobii's headquarters, but here I go. Windows gives users more customization options and flexibility, compared to the Apple platform. Apple has never played nice with other companies, which can lock customers into their products. I personally enjoy having the freedom to explore, make modifications, and utilize programs that aren't available for Apple. The ugly. For years Apple has prevented all eye gaze device manufacturers from using their iPad tablets for their devices, leaving half of all ALS patients to learn a whole new operating system. Unfortunately, the iSeries has its problems as well. Windows has weekly updates which can cause problems with the iSeries, making the eye gaze program inoperable. But, the iSeries does have more AAC communication programs, and has a better ability to work with all devices. To use an eye gaze device effectively, you need a good calibration of your eyes, so your device can track your eyes well. Generally, you want your device to be at a 10-degree tilt, with the top of your device being level with the top of your head. You want your device to be about arm's length away. If you are tilted back, you always want your device to be parallel to your face. You don't have to have your device straight up and down. If you wear glasses, for best eye tracking, you want a single prescription, known as computer glasses. It maximizes your visual eye gaze ability, a few feet from your screen. Bifocals will give a different calibration between the screen's top and bottom, making it difficult to track your eyes. Now, can your device work outside? Currently, Tobii is the only manufacturer of an eye tracker that works in bright sunlight, but it's not perfect. Most devices won't work in direct sunlight, but salesmen will tell you that their device does. I use an older Tobii that doesn't have the eye gaze cameras that work in direct sunlight. If I'm in the shade with a darker background, or if it's overcast, it works. My wife and I have found creative solutions to communicate outside, using my device. Sometimes using a towel, or a poster board over my head to block the light, works. When you're indoors, you can still have problems with light affecting your ability to use your device. You can have light from different rooms, a mirror behind you, a ceiling fan with lights near you, or if you're next to a window, you might have issues due to refracting light. You need the room's light to be overhead, not where the light can reflect to your device. Sometimes medications can dry your eyes and affect your ability to control your device. Tricks people take to prevent strained eyes is to adjust the brightness of their screen to a lower setting. Activating the blue light filter feature reduces the harmful blue light your screen emits. With this feature activated, it can make your screen look a little dingy, like the sky after an apocalyptic nuclear war, but it does work. Turning your programs and web browser to dark mode will also help your eyes. It takes a while to get used to dark mode with everything being black, but your eyes will thank you later. These are a few tricks for calibration. It's the best way to get your eye gaze device to track your eyes in the most efficient way possible. When trying out a communication device, you're testing the software of Communicator 5, Grid 3, or iTech. Most people determine what device to receive by the software. When getting a communication device through Medicare, you're supposed to try out 3 devices, not the device that your speech pathologist pushes on you. Try them all out. Remember, device manufacturers are making a small fortune off of your selection, so if they aren't willing to come to your home to demonstrate the device, they might not be willing to go to your home when the device has problems. Most communication devices, people just use to communicate, but they can be used for so much more. You can run a business, do your finances, write music, and even play video games. You can watch TV shows, movies, and do social media, which connects you to the outside world. There are a lot of different ways to use your communication device to achieve your needs. I use third-party apps to do everything I need, and to speak. It allows me to switch from one thing to another quickly. I use my Tobii like a regular computer. I've never liked being trapped in a communication program that can take a few minutes to go from one environment to another, like speaking, then surfing the internet, to speaking again. This is what works best for myself, and might differ from what works for someone else. The only Tobii software I currently use is a program called Windows Control. It has mouse icons on a toolbar at the side of the screen, and you can eye gaze select which mouse functions you need to use. It has all the functions of a computer mouse. You have left click, right click, scroll, click and drag, and double click.
Hi. Windows Control is made up of 2 different kinds of control components, gaze selection and mouse emulation. What you're looking at on the screen on the right-hand side here is actually gaze selection. What it does is it allows for a 2-step process to make selections and control your whole interface, including swipes and things like that that exist in Windows 8 and Windows 10. You lay out all of the commands along one side of the screen or the other. You can move them back and forth. And you make a 2-step selection process by basically first thinking about what you're going to do, like if I'm going to click the Start menu here, and then you look at your click until it registers, then you look back at the Start menu and it'll zoom in and make its click to open the Start menu like that. So that's the same thing for all of the different commands that you can do, and it allows you a much more relaxed way of clicking, because all the areas around the rest of the screen here, when you look around and when you move your gaze, nothing actually happens. But when you look at the taskbar, as you see, it's following my eyes as I look up and down, which allows you also to go into settings and control the different types of settings that exist with your eyes, changing the keyboard language, changing the different tasks on the taskbar, and so on. Adding different word prediction languages for the word prediction keyboard, the speed and the precision of the zoom, or even switching back and forth to whether or not you want to select with a physical switch or just using your gaze. So that's basically gaze selection. It's an absolutely fantastic way of using your eyes to control your entire interface.
You will have professionals say your device can't do this or that, but it can. Along with using Tobii's Windows control, I use a program called NextUp Talker. NextUp Talker is a text-to-speech program that allows you to speak typed words or phrases. It's a highly customizable text-to-speech program, and I've modified it to fit my needs. It's not an eye gaze program, but using it with Windows control, it acts like one. Everything I do is direct, not through the typical communication programs. Being that I use my Tobii like a regular computer, I don't need others to set up or maintain my device. I have the freedom to customize my device. Using NextUp Talker to speak, and Windows Control to control my Tobii, I've found everything to be more reliable, not dropping emails, text, or just the ease of running programs. I use simple 2-letter shortcuts in NextUp Talker to speak my most common phrases and needs. It's quick and easy. Hello. I'm glad to see you. Can you please tilt me forward? Can you please tilt me back? Can you please swing my Tobii towards me? Can you please swing my Tobii away from me? Good night. Good morning. Thanks. You can also do 2-letter shortcuts to audio files, like sound effects, family audio clips, or even your voice clips from the past. With NextUp Talker, you can customize the layout, the looks, colors, fonts, and quick access phrases on the side of the screen. It's easy to add additional voices to NextUp Talker, because voices are in the SAPI 5 format. All text-to-speech programs uses this format, except Apple products. I use the Microsoft David voice, because it's clear, and everyone was already used to the voice, by the time I discovered other voices. I even have a few funny voices I use when I try to be funny, like Yoda, Queen Elizabeth, and a little kid singing. Another advantage to NextUp Talker, you can not only change the speed of your voice, but the pitch of your voice as well. You can also change the flow of the phrasing, so you don't sound like a robot.
I am a robot, you can't sound like me.
There are many third-party apps I use to make my life easier. I have Microsoft Office installed on my Tobii. I like using Microsoft's Word program to write, because it has dark mode, which is easier on my eyes. Then there are the factory Tobii Dynavox programs, and some other programs on my Tobii, but I won't bore you. Now, the shortcuts on my desktop, and if you noticed I put my own icons just for looks. I have shortcuts for my Windows and Windows settings. I'm always screwing with my Tobii settings, and adding and deleting programs as well. I have shortcuts for my folders, like documents, downloads, pictures, music, and videos. Because of my little projects, I use these shortcuts all the time. I have icons for my streaming services. I go a little overboard with my streaming services, but my entertainment is extremely important to me.
Nothing gets between me and my AK.
I have icons for my emails and my social medias. I have my Zoom and places I go to attend Zoom meetings on my desktop. Being connected to the outside world helps so much when you have ALS. You can meet new friends and help others with this horrible disease. What is voice banking? Voice banking is using a company that specializes in manufacturing synthetic voices, based on the approximated voice of their customer. They use recordings of their customer's voice speaking predefined phrases and individual words, while they still have the ability to speak. Then the company can generate an approximate synthetic voice that can be used in most text-to-speech programs and communication devices. Even though it's not the authentic voice of the customer, it sounds the same. There is also message banking, which is different than voice banking. Message banking is the process of recording phrases and words of your actual voice that can be used in the future for friends and family. Every day I regret not voice banking my voice before I lost it due to ALS. Your voice is your identity. Like most people, I procrastinated, and when I started, it was too late due to my malfunctioning home computer, lousy recordings, and background noise. It was before Team Gleason's newer voice banking policies, or help from my ALS clinic and organizations. No one knew anything about voice banking at the time. Today is a whole new story. ALS organizations have the resources to help, and numerous grants are available. The Team Gleason Foundation has benefited so many people with this devastating disease with voice banking. Whether the cost or the required equipment, they are there. You can download many generic synthetic voices from the internet, and you can purchase hundreds of premium voices from companies like Acapella, Sirence, Ivona, AT&T, Kepstrel, Sirproc, and Nuance, to work in Communicator 5 and Grid 3 communication programs. If you are newly diagnosed and want to know more about voice and message banking, I would start with Team Gleason, your ALS clinic, or your ALS support organization. There's no time to waste. Losing your voice can happen at a moment's notice. So, get it done. I hope you've enjoyed this presentation and learned a few tricks. I'm honored to have this opportunity to give my opinion and little secrets on communication devices. Thank you, and remember, be good.